Games, board games, board games. I might be talking about cute game about cute comical creatures and trying to identify them after some makes noises, but I'm not going to shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing. And today I'm going to talk about that game. A game about cute comical creatures and trying to identify the monsters that makes noises. That's its name. And I'll talk about how it came to be and how it changed from the creatures that were merely wee, and maybe a little bit about how I thought about the mouths and how I planned it out and did a little bit more drawing out. Board games, it's what I'm talking about. Board games, board games. Well, one in particular, but I'm not going to shout. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever, wherever you are. Whatever it is, wherever you are, and 10 a.m.-ish UK time for Busy Beats and Board Game Blether. Today is episode 801. I'm chatting about a game about cute comical creatures and trying to identify them after some mixed noises. How was it made? Like, what is this game? I guess I should start there. What changed along the way, but also compared to a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after some mixed noises? Who would enjoy it? And what's this about a co-op mode? What's that all about? And why 80 creatures? Yeah, so I'll try to get into all of that. Firstly, a couple of quick regular features, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. Living life and other delights, seeing the sights. Not a good day. Yesterday I did manage to get a lot of writing done for future games. When I say writing, it's like things that are going to be written on the cards, like instructions, like the back of the box or potentially like the back of a card, and what's going to go there on the back cover. Yeah, I've started having these about Bez and like about the game cards, which it's an interesting challenge to make sure that fits on a card, but that's the way I'm doing my busy bargain bags these days, because I think I'd like to have people remember them as these points in sort of history, so to speak, if that makes sense. But yeah, that is what I've been up to. How about you? Let me know in the comments. What have you been up to? And sometimes it is brilliant to just get out and go to the park. That's something that I did, and it was a brilliant thing. What's the little thing which going out, listening to a podcast, and just being in the park. Also, you know what? This morning I got up at a decent time, and then much as I'm fatigued, like I slept 8 to 9 hours, and I'm still feeling blur. But this morning I've been thinking about a polyomino combat movement game that I think is in a sufficiently advanced state that I could now start writing up the effects that the different spells have. And yeah, I'm not going to go too much into details, but I'm excited to try that out. So yes, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the things that I wrote yesterday, and there's one game that I also need to write a lot of stuff about. And yeah, hopefully I'm going to, my priority really should, I'll get to priorities and what to do in the future after that. Let's get to the main topic. As always, feel free to comment, ask questions, from like, follow. If you want to know something and I don't talk about it, then that is totally on me. So please keep me right. And yeah, please do let me know what you want to know about. Okay, I'm going to talk about, again, about good comical creatures and trying to identify the monster noises. So what is this game? I will skim through the cards. There's some... Actually, could I get view 2 pages? Will this work? Or will it just do the nope, it does the thing where it assumes it's a book. Okay, I'm not going to go with that. Because yeah, when you set some things to do 2 pages at once, it kind of assumes, well, let's ignore the front page because that will be the cover, and every page after that will be a spread. But of course, when you're doing cards, you want number 1 and 2 to be next to each other, not number 2 and 3. No, that wouldn't make any sense, but yeah. So you've got a bunch of numbers. What's going on is, actually change that to continuous scroll. What's going on is numbers have instructions on the back. They tell you how to play. And then there's more numbers with creatures on the back. This will tell you how, these will be the creatures numbers that you use to randomize which creature are going to make the sound of. You have 5 creatures in the middle. As you can see, the numbers normally go up to 5. There are numbers up to 7 in the box. We'll get to that later. And there's some creatures. The whole idea for this game, actually, let me carry on talking about what is it? What is it? And creatures in the middle of the table. So if you look at the ones on the side, like the 3 on the side, and I were to make the noise of, oops, that doesn't work. So let's say there's 4 creatures, and I have a random number. Okay, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and my noise is going to be pok, 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 pok. Pok, 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 pok. Pok, pok. Pok, 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 pok. Pok, pok, pok. Pok, pok, pok. Pok, pok. Okay, so then I can go on for as long as I want. That's my noise. And someone might look at those and think, well, it's probably not the fishy thing. They might think, well, it's probably not the angry thing because it wasn't super angry. And it might be one of the birdie creatures. Was it the one that had 2 heads, or would it be the one that was a single head? I was trying to do that to tell people that it was doing a lot of walking. And I tried to throw in some box, which were just 1 or 3 at a time, to show that it wasn't the double head. Middle one on the left, hello Elaine, and you are 100% correct. It was card 27. Congratulations, you win that round. And let's see with another 4 creatures if you can win again. And I will, yeah, I'll go to Google and roll a d4. Let's see if it gives me a number. And it has given me a number. So, okay, my noise is going to be and by rights, you shouldn't be seeing my face. So do you have an idea of which one I was going for this time? So the purple one with the teeth. Yes, exactly. And I think that this demonstrates that, I mean, well, there's only 4 cards at once. For the full game, there's 5 cards, but that's basically the whole idea. And this is where the game originated. It was from a game jam that I ran in start of 2021, very much inspired by a game jam run by, I think it demonstrates that you're very good at this. Thank you very much, Elaine. There is definitely a skill to be done at making understandable noises. But if we skip ahead and look at, okay, oh my gosh, these are some creatures that I've never made a noise of. Let's do one last thing. And I'll re-roll. Okay, and my noise is going to be okay, that's my noise. Tell me if you've got an idea. And it all started off when Michael J. Fox, the board game designer, managed to did a game jam, and it was lovely. It ended up with Rory Muldoon inventing voyages and also some other stuff that less notable, but there was a really nice element of someone on stream playing the games, everyone else coming in on the stream. And yes, 100%. I was trying to express the three different mouths, like because exactly that's what I was thinking. Are screaming, but also maybe not all their mouths are screaming. That's exactly what I was going for. Congratulations, Elaine. And yeah, so that was a lovely game jam. And then in January, I was like, well, before it too much time had passed, I was thinking, yeah, I'd like to run another game jam. That was good fun. Let me do something. Okay, let me make it so that there's one full week to do your stuff. I want to make it as easy to access as possible. Oh, well, actually, now I'm talking about how did it come to be? How did it come to be? I need to get better at changing these banners. But yeah, I really enjoyed the idea of a game jam. It brought us together, even though there was a whole pandemic, and like there still is kind of, but we weren't able to see each other at all, which was really sad. And so it was, hey, let me run a game jam, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll do stuff with other people, but then Saturday and Sunday before Saturday, I'll announce the stuff and then start working on stuff myself, and hopefully other people will start working on stuff. Someday I'll keep working on stuff and people can join in. It'll be fun. And then Saturday and Sunday, the week after, anyone who contributes ideas, who contributes games that can be played, they will be played on my stream. And the idea was that it would be a case of as long as I can play it and someone in chat can interact and also play the game, then that's what it's all about. So I could show custom cards. You could ask me to cut out customized things or make a board. What I've got access to is a printer. I've got access to that. I've got access, obviously, to scissors and can do a bit of folding. I've got access to the overhead camera. Well, it's slightly broken, the stand right now, but I had access to a better one at the time. And so I was like, what can we do together? And different people had different ideas. One of, like, I don't think any of them really ended up going a big distance, but one of the key restrictions that we had was the noise of an animal. I asked my friend Chris to chuck in a few ideas, and I wouldn't look at them until Friday night to avoid myself kind of starting to think of stuff. So the noise of an animal, that was a really interesting one. I was like, what can this be about? Maybe it's about recognizing noises. Maybe you're getting points for recognizing noises. Maybe it's about working out what noises animals would make. Maybe it's a game about the group trying to work out what noises they would make. Hello, Dot Judith. It's lovely to see you. And actually, didn't Party Planner originate out of one of the game jams that I'm talking about? Yeah. So yeah, I'm talking about, and through that week, I basically, honestly, by the second day, it was a case of, hey, you've got an animal, and someone makes a noise, everyone else is trying to guess it, and I don't want people to try to. I want people, even if the noise will, but how do I make sure that the person doesn't make a terrible noise? Well, what if I reward you for having the majority be correct? And how do I make it so that people are rewarded for, like, it's about the group thing. Let's reward people just for being with the majority. So you don't get points for being correct, you get points for being with the majority. That changed because eventually people are like, that's weird, that's unintuitive, and you can't fight human intuition. So the final rules, going back to what is it, the final rules are 5 creatures in the middle, one person, the noisemaker, makes a noise, everyone else makes a guess simultaneously. You get to points if you're correct, but more importantly, get to points if you're in the majority. And the noisemaker, if the majority was correct, they get a point. And that's what they're trying to do. So probably some people are going to be correct by accident anyway. There's definitely going to be a majority anyway, unless everything just gets one vote. Because even if like 2 things get 2 votes each, that counts as 2 majorities. And so you want people to be correct, so you get it clear as well. And so it incentivizes clear, identifiable noises, which is the interesting thing. Because if I were going like bop bop, I mean that's not the most clear noise and it's not the most exciting. But if I'm thinking, okay, how can I really make it clear what noise I'm going to do, then I go oh, then people might. I mean, you don't get to see what I'm doing like physically, and that does give it away because if you get into it, you can't help but embody the creature. But then people might think, okay, Bez was clearly going for number 42. Um, well, I shouldn't have said that, but I should have asked you which one you thought I was going for. But hopefully, people would have more of a chance, and there would be more of a chance that people would be guessing the majority because hopefully, yeah, I should actually demonstrate it with something where I've not just told you which one I'm going for. Let's roll the d4 again, but I'm curious, would you have guessed that one or not? Roll, and it's completely random. I'm using internet to give me a d4 result. And of course, you can't do a d5, but it's emerged that d5 was slightly better than d6 because I wanted it to make. I wanted it to be common enough that even if people guess randomly, they're still going to get it. I wanted it to be common enough that if someone's struggling to identify this creature, they've got a good chance. Like the more creatures there are, the harder it becomes. Now, and apparently Elaine would have totally guessed that. So I'm going to go for a whole new one, and I'm even going to do it properly, stop my camera, and my creature is going to go bok, 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 bok. I mean, this is probably an easy one, but have you guessed which one it is? Everyone, put your guesses into the chat. And that's the thing. Gil Hova says that games are about incentivizing interesting behavior. And the interesting behavior in, like, some people think, oh, maybe it should be like Dixit, where Dixit is about having some people be correct, some people being wrong. No, because in Dixit, you can use any words you want. So it'd be really easy for me to look at a picture of a sand timer where it's drizzling through and there's a hula hoop and it turns into a star and say, this is a picture of a hula hoop and a timer and a star. And with my words, I could describe it perfectly. But can I actually describe it in a way that some people get it, but not everyone? That is now an interesting thing, because that's an interesting challenge. Could I say time, knowing that other people are going to put in some aspects of time that don't quite relate to this one, that there'll be at least a few other things? Or maybe I go with space, because maybe some people think I mean space as in a large area or a large volume or having air around me. And yeah, I guess no one else is guessing. It was 100% number 45. It sounded, yes, that was exactly what I was going for. Also, I was trying to go for the 5 different noises, but let me actually make that a little bit smaller. And I think, yeah, it's all about incentivizing interesting behavior. So let's talk about a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises. Which was the original version? So the original version, I was exactly the same rules, but the original version, I actually, let me change the view to single page, and I feel like I skipped a few. I didn't give them all their time. Let me just go through these all while I talk. So game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify monsters someone makes noises was black and white. It was drawn black and white deliberately because when I started making it, people said, oh, that's cute. I would like to color in these drawings. And that's something that people would like to do. And I thought, okay, let me go with that. Let me keep these as line drawings. And I drew them all. I wanted to make sure they were diverse. That was all I was thinking of. And I was thinking, okay, how can I make diverse creatures? How can I make it so that maybe, okay, the number of mouths, the size of the mouth, the number of the eyes, the number of legs, the style of arms, maybe something on it. Maybe it's kind of a bit slimy, or maybe it's robotic, or maybe it's feathery, like some sort of texture thing. And so the creatures in a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after some noises, I am proud of them. They're probably really nice to colour in. I mean, I don't know why I say probably, they are. I've coloured all of them in myself. But are they identifiable with their noises? Not so much. And when I came to make this version, so when I went with the cute comical creatures, and that's, I tried to make them as identifiable as I could be. Some people had pointed out that it's about the mouth shapes. It's not sure, the number of mouths helps, but the number of eyes, that doesn't mean anything. So I'm not going to worry about diversifying that. If all of them had 2 eyes, I don't think it would be a worse game. Sure, it might, but like, it doesn't need an equal number of eyes. Like here, we've got creatures, like the amounts of teeth showing it instead of it's more of a like you've got a different idea. And also, if you had like something like that, think about the different phonemes. Like I don't have anything like that, like the bottom lip hitting the teeth, but I was trying to be diverse. The number of mouths really gives you a strong idea, because especially once you get to it, hey, wait a minute, I can make a number of different discrete noises for each mouth. That's how I can get it. And so having something with 4, that definitely gives you an advantage. And so I tried to make it so that one mouth wasn't, it wasn't like a majority of creatures have one mouth. And when I started drawing them, I actually drew out pages, and I think I was doing maybe 16 creatures on each page, and I was okay, this page is all going to be one mouth, the next page is all going to be 2 mouths, and the next page 3 mouths and or more. And here you have something with 4 mouths, with like 3 birdie mouths and smiley toothy grin. And during that process, I wasn't quite as organized as making up some sort of spreadsheets and making sure there's every combination. But here I try to combine birdie mouths with a toothy grin. When there's multiple mouths, trying to have it so there's different emotions, like different mouth shapes, the shrieking and the slightly smaller thing, the birdie and the more toothy thing. I try to get in more of a forced emotion, like thinking, okay, how can I really push the emotion to the foreground? And this one, hopefully everyone would agree, like this looks fairly angry, right? I mean, the mouths and the kind of bit that looks a little bit like eyebrows, but it could also be feathers. And sometimes I try to emulate musical instruments, because someone had suggested making actual musical instruments, like an actual drum, but I didn't want to go too easy. I wanted them to still be weird creatures. So I mean, I don't know if you can tell which instrument this is based off, because there's multiple, like ones that you've already seen. I mean, like, can you tell which instrument this is? Can you tell which instrument this is? I am genuinely curious to know. And did it come to your mind straight away, looking at those gaps in the teeth? Um, and yeah, I want to give you a bit of time to think about those 2 creatures, the number 37 and this purple toothy thing. And I think that was the key thing. And Elaine says piano, trumpet. Yes, 100%. So, I mean, I'm not sure if people will make piano noises for it. I imagine probably not, but it kind of still evokes that, hopefully. And it was kind of like, yeah, it could have been maybe even more piano, but like this one, the trumpety one, I can definitely imagine people going, ooh, ah! Well, having said that, maybe it shouldn't have had teeth in it, because then that takes it away from ooh, which is more of a trumpet, into more of a ah. But yeah, there's meant to be a bit of a joy in these creatures. And so when I finally drew them, like I took them from the page where I'd drawn like 16 to a page and then done them like really quickly. I think I only used 3 implements, a pencil, a fine pen, and I think I might have used for some of them a thick pen. And number 38 is very cute. Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say. And so then I took them and I redrew them when I was redrawing them. So like taking them from a process of, okay, I've done them while I've been moving around, while I've been, yeah, frankly, while I was going to a funeral, or while I was, yeah, going to restaurants and visiting with my family, or while I was, waiting for things to happen. This would be a sketchbook that I carried around with me for maybe a week or a couple of weeks when I wasn't doing something else. Then I would kind of do a few more creatures. And by the end, like they were fairly diverse, and I just redrew them, trying to accentuate the diversity, trying to accentuate the difference in mouth shapes, trying to check if 2 of them look too similar, then throw one of them out. And in the end, I think I drew 84 creatures, something like that. I guess I should get into why 80? Why not a bigger number? Why not a smaller number? Well, the reason why it's that bigger. Okay, originally it was 80 because I felt, okay, I want, yeah, it was the way the card count worked out. I need some to be, I'm trying to actually remember how the original printing, the very first printing that I sold at UK Games Expo 2021, because it was done really quickly and it was weird enough that I wasn't sure if people would really go for it. But of course people did, which is just joyful to see. And then, yeah, when I realized, hey, wait a minute, I did not 5 numbers to go on the top. That's 8 cards. I want a front cover and a back cover. That's 2 cards. And so that means that I can have, I can't remember, that is 12 cards. So that leaves 42. So yeah, why didn't I have 84? I don't know what the other 2 cards were for. But it turns into the card count. The reason for it to be 40 is because, well, 40 cards, 4 creatures are double-sided, so you get a good amount of content. And then the other 14 cards, you've got 7 numbers and 7 numbers. Now, I know I only showed 5 at the start, but if we skim really far ahead, you can see right at the end. Hey, number 6. This is not part of this standard game. Use this card to make the identification a bit harder. If everyone is always correct, you can add a 6th or 7th option. Use 2 hands to vote. It's got a little bit about me as well. And yeah, it's got my contact details, like my email at least. And then you've got the 6th voting card and the 7th voting card. Previously, cards number 7 would be on the back cover, but this is changed because this is the version that's going to go into the box. Where was I? Like, what was I showing? I can't remember. I think it was on number like 40 or something. But yeah, so redrawing them to the page, I drew 2 of these to each A5 sheet. So these are basically drawn at A6. Fairly simple, fairly low in detail. There's not a lot going on, but you don't need that much detail. And I think that these don't look worse than a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after 6 noises. I did a bit more work up front about thinking about the character design, essentially. And then the actual execution, all of them were done within a day, which was a flurry of activity, like a day when I had a lot of energy. I couldn't don't know if I could do it today. But Chris was coming the next day. I had to get all of these done, and it was, oh, let me color all of these in. It was like a joyful activity. First doing the lines, and I love doing these. I like to think that there's a bit of personality, and for sure, maybe some of them might not be perfect. And I think if I ever did a totally third version, not just a couple of extra creatures, I would do what someone suggested, which is to run a big spreadsheet to say, okay, what can we have? We can have the emotion, which is one of these things. What are the actually identifiable emotions that I can think of different noises for? What are the different numbers of mouths? What are the different numbers of maybe heavy boots, maybe thin legs? Like I didn't do as much with the little legs as I could have. I just, and what else could go into it? Maybe it's the mouth shape, like the phenome that it's giving you. And but then you've also got the different numbers of mouths, like the different combinations. Like the beaky mouth definitely has a different sound to wide-eyed mouth. Like here you've got a beak and then a little creepy thing. Let's say that's like both of those noises combined. That's almost the most sinister thing in my opinion, because it's this thing that's cute, but then it's got this creepy alien thing. And yeah, what's other questions that I want to answer? I feel like that's as much as I want to say about the process. As always, if you've got questions, please do ask. Who would enjoy it? Honestly, like if you've made it this far, if you've listened to the noises, if you enjoy listening to the noises, you'll probably enjoy it. If you enjoy the idea of looking at these four creatures and thinking, how can I identify, how can I make a noise that helps people tell apart which of these creatures I'm doing? And clearly I want to do a noise if I'm doing number 58. Well, that's clear. It's going to be a little beaky, like birdie noise. And maybe do two of them and do something quite happy. Bok, 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 bok. I don't know. And like if it was converse, like you've got to think about the emotion a little bit. This creature with the kind of radioactive tear, some of the colors, like there's, yeah, it was all quickly scribbled permanent marker, which I kind of really like the fact that you can tell that it's not solid color, that it's kind of messy. There are wee bits that would have been nice to improve, like, yeah. But I really honestly enjoy the fact that there's this, if I can actually make, no, that's not what I want to do. This. Yeah, the fact that around the left edge there's a lot of kind of roughness of the permanent marker, and you can sort of tell, okay, it looks organic, and I like that about it. And yeah, I mean, if you like the look of these creatures, if you like making noises, if you'd like listening to noises, if you think that would make you smile, then go for it, and this is a game for you. The co-op mode. The co-op mode is something that I promised to backers of a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises. I do have a co-op mode that works perfectly okay, which is you've got a creature, have your creatures, you've got one person making the noise, everyone else is trying to guess which one it is. Decline, don't know who that is. And everyone else is trying to think, okay, which creature is it? If they are correct, that creature gets removed and two more go on. If the creature is wrong, then the creature they voted for and the creature you're trying to go for get removed and two more go on. And the problem is, okay, for the guessing, they can just point at a thing. They don't need to guess simultaneously or anything. So that's really simple. And I think it's a nice challenge. When there's like 20 things on the board, are you able to still make an identifiable noise? It's a really interesting thing. And yeah, Elaine says, I like your art very much. Neatness in art is overrated. I also like Quentin Blake's style of art. Both styles are very expressive. When you say both styles, do you mean mine and Quentin Blake's? If so, that's a massive honor. Thank you very much for, yeah, it's, do, how do you make a noise of having only one sock on? And honestly, the one sock is meant, it, I don't think it would impact the noise at all, but that was more of a, hey, these are some creatures, and how can I make them as cute as possible? And we decided that having one sock on makes a creature more cute. That's why, I mean, not everything has to be about the noises. Like the fact that it's pink, I don't expect anyone to make a noise about the fact that it's pink or the fact that it's furry. Although they might go like for the fur, I don't know, or like oh, that's interesting, like a burr noise. Oh, like I don't expect anyone to have like a noise for the fact that it's only got one mouth. And the thing to remember is you're not allowed to use, you know, language. You're not allowed to use any words that would be found in a dictionary. That's the key thing. So you could go, oh, you can't go, oh, I'm cold. I've got one sock on. Like that's, I mean, but hopefully that would be clear to everyone. Um, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, cooperative mode. So I'm really happy with that, but I have to work out in my mind how to make it so that we can have more options in a grid style manner. And I'm thinking, honestly, like I probably, yeah, I'm struggling to do maths in my head. So the reason that I don't like the current rules is because currently my rules for the co-op mode would be, okay, you print out like 20 cards that just say 8, 9, 10, so forth up to the maximum that it can get to. And then that's fine. And then each turn you have to add one more card in and then you shuffle them up. And it's, yeah. But then, yeah, I'm not keen on that. So it just feels a little bit too fiddly. It felt like people have to print out more cards than required. So I was thinking, okay, what if there's like a grid system, like A's along this side, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 along that side, and then you start off with 7, I don't know, or maybe it just starts off with 5, but then you've got empty spaces. So if you grab cards that have an empty space, let's say you just have gone into the C row for the first time, then and you get C2, 3, 4, or 5. Like there's a good percentage chance that you'll get something that doesn't work. So then the question is, do you just shuffle both decks and have to reshuffle? Like, what's the probability of actually getting something that works? And is that actually better than just printing off the numbers? And I feel like I need to do the maths on the probabilities, but that's just something that I've not done. And so, you know what? I am going to commit right now that it will happen hopefully before the end of the year. Let me commit to Q1 2023. I just need to work out the like the actual game. It's working. That's the way it works. But in terms of yeah, I think I'm able to commit to that. That's the cooperative mode. Were there any other questions? Yeah, here's where I turn it over to you. Please ask me questions about these. Do you have any questions? Would you like to hear the stories of any of these creatures? I mean, I can make up a random story for one of these creatures if you want. Maybe this little creature is called Louis, and Louis is very happy because it's just full of wonder in life. I mean, look at those little smiles. That makes me actually quite happy now looking at it. And Louis, its favorite food is pasta. Louis doesn't even need much on their pasta. They just want pasta with a little bit of oil and maybe salt and pepper and cheese, nothing else. That's what Louis likes. Um, Conversely, again, based on another instrument, this one is called Sam. And Sam is not having the best of times, but they're trying to fight the government. They're trying to change things for the better. And Sam is like really working hard to try and improve things. Anyway, yeah, that's probably not the content that people came here for. I do want to say I am quite chuffed with how these feathers came out. Um, Conversely, I don't like how this one, I probably applied the color a little bit too early. I like how the strokes here, the lines kind of blurred out, but the black line here with the crisp edge, I kind of feel like that should have been more crisp. Conversely, yeah, when I look at the pen marks here, I'm really happy with like the pen marks and how they provide a variety of different textures. It's interesting how, like, I'm never fully in control of anything, but I do really enjoy seeing how they all turn out. And that's the thing, like, honestly, when I think, do I enjoy drawing? Do I enjoy painting? Yeah, I'm not sure. But, like, and I'm not super keen on, like, the lines of this one, but oh my gosh, I just realized I never colored in the ear. Oh. Um, like some of them feel better than others. When I did some stickers, I asked, so as I said, I drew 84 creatures, I want to say, and I said to Chris, okay, I've drawn 84. You choose the 4 to get rid of. I don't want to have to decide. And Chris decided the 4 that they felt were the least cute. But I do want to say that these thin scribbly pen marks, I was hoping that they would smear more, but that's Sharpie, it didn't smear more on the table, whereas when I look at the these ones are, I won't say Prismacolor, like, yeah, these ones are big fat markers, like with a wide nib, and I feel like those just result in much more interesting colors. I think that yeah, in future I'll try and focus on those things. In theory, I might use Sharpies, but Sharpies are probably my least favorite permanent markers, if I'm being honest. And yeah, of course, the reason that I use Sharpies rather than watercolor was just, hey, they're here and it's faster to use them. But I would be interested to do something with a mixture of colors. And again, here, the Sharpie, it has a somewhat interesting texture, but to my eyes, it's not as interesting as the one here, where I kind of, with a square nib, like, but again, none of this actually affects the game. Like the fact that this is square or has 3 eyes, I mean, sure, it makes it hopefully more interesting to play, that you see number 7 is horrified about their bad hair day, 74. Yeah, I can totally see that. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got leaves on my head. But like this one, I actually, maybe not so much the eyes, but yeah, like none of these textures, none of these colors, none of the exact way that these things are rendered. And it's interesting to ponder the interplay between art and mechanics, because for sure, the size of the mouth, the exact way that the mouth is rendered, the emotion of the creature, this will all have a bearing. Like in this one, I kind of think while it's walking along, I would probably make some like walking noises, but it's also feeling in my mind, especially with the way that the pen marks went up top, to me it feels a little bit anxious. It feels a little bit, ah, ah. I don't know if you're of a similar mindset, but like the style of the drawing will impact it, but then will the fact that it's wearing a tie or not? No, that will have absolutely no bearing. But then, like, it's still a lot more dependent on the art than a game like Sushi Go, where sure you've got cute sushi and it's lovely, and Sushi Go, I say that because it was the first game I saw to the side of me that I'm like, yeah, actually, I absolutely adore Sushi Go. Great work, everyone involved. And like when you see this, if it didn't look so angry, I mean, hopefully I've gotten across a bit of emotion. If it didn't look so angry, you wouldn't make an angry identifiable noise. You wouldn't be able to make an angry noise and have it be clearly this one rather than one of these three. I mean, 78 does look a bit angry, but also this is where the lips come in because that's what. Whereas 79, oh, 780 is more like oh. That's how I imagine it. Whereas number 81, it's like ah. And this is interesting because Elaine said, I say it won't have bearing, but the first thing I thought when I noticed the tie was maybe it would make posh noises. So maybe 79 is going, wah-hee-ha, wah-hee-ha. You're not allowed to say fatita, fajitas, fatita. Yeah, that's not a word. So you would be allowed to say fatita, 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 ta-ta, ta-ta. Oh, yes, indeed. I mean, you're not allowed to say oh yes indeed, but is that the kind of ha 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 ha? Is that the kind of noise that you're thinking of, Elaine? And yeah. And yes, I totally get what you meant. Hopefully my noise was a vague approximation of what you were going for. So yes, it's interesting, but I think there's no denying that, sure, the number of eyes might have an impact. The thickness of the eyebrows might have an impact. The color might have an impact. The fact that it's got 3 fingers and 3 toes might have an impact. But what's really going to have an impact is where the teeth are in relation to the lips, the number of mouths, and the size of the mouth and the emotion. And also the style of mouth, yes, because birdie noises are very different. But then within birdie noises, it's hard to do a birdie mouth that's also smiling, while still keeping it be a birdie noise. And sometimes it's interesting how people interpret different things. So, for example, here it was inspired by a layered cake, but this is meant to be 3 mouths. But some people don't see it as 3 mouths. And this one I say, bok, bok. It's kind of not got much going on. Bok, bok. Like not much emotion, just, hey, it's doing its own thing. Bok, bok. That's what I imagine this one doing. Whereas this one, it's got a bit more excited. Bok, bok. That's how I would identify them. Like this one would be. And I just want to acknowledge that this pen, when I was using it, this pen was basically dead. Like it was fibers all over the way. Like this is where I keep these pens, but I don't tend to use them unless I'm like, you know what, I want this to be super expressive and to heck with it. This is not going to be gentle. This is going to be emotional because like for calligraphy, I would never use a pen like that, unless of course the calligraphy was all about angry letters. But if I was to do calligraphy for a game about drawing creatures complementing the drawings and complementing the complements, which is where my calligraphy started. My first font that is on one of my games, that was meant to be gentle and kind of a bit refined, and you sort of see, oh, that's cute. But here it's like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to keep it up and see if that affects people's noises. It'll be interesting. And hopefully it does. Hopefully, and Elaine says, definitely the different beak styles make you think of the birds they belong to in real life and the noises they make. I'm really happy to hear that. And I was kind of thinking of having some more serpenty things with like a, really long forked tongue. And, I do feel like some of them are reminiscent of animals. Like there are a couple that are kind of snaky. And I do think that probably when it's like when it's a combination, I think that makes it more easily identifiable. Whereas this actually, that might be a terrible noise. If both of these were on the board, for number 89 would probably do bop. No, wait, I'm going to do a sad bop. I'm going to do a bop. 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 Whereas 90, I would do bop, bop. So like 90 is the one that's laughing. That's what I've decided. And I'm glad that you liked the turtle one. And yeah, so I mean, I guess I've just bladdered on and people don't really have any more questions. But am I happy with this art? No, I'm not. Like, my pen doesn't always go exactly where I want, and there's a limited sense of control. And then I said to Rita Modal that I was just like, yeah, I do it, and then I don't change anything. Like, I might do extra drawings and ask someone else to get rid of like 4 of them, but I'm not going to do like redraw stuff. Once I've drawn it, that's it, because that's the whole point of the Bezier bargain bags, and to get stuff out. And whilst at this point I could say, you know what, I do kind of like the way the bottom left edge, the red turned out. I like that bit. I'm not so keen on the way the bottom right edge turned out, like just a little bit about the line. And I'm not super keen on like what I'm going to call the shadow of the eye. But like it still makes it different. It gives it a different emotion. If everything were something that I was like, this is the way I want it to be, then maybe that homogenization would be to the detriment of the kinds of noises that they make. Because this one, the shading, I'm much happier with how this one turned out. This is a kind of shading that I feel like, yeah, I did this really well. I feel proud of this. And I feel like, well, again, there's like little bits that I would, but I feel like, the coloring makes sense. But if all of it were like this, then it wouldn't quite work. And the fact that this, the eye is a bit wet, and maybe maybe it'll make people think of wetness a bit more and go, I don't know. Maybe I should have even made the lips a bit more wetter. I don't know. And yeah, I don't know. I hope it'll be fun. And please ask me some question. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of stuff. But I'm enjoying looking at these. And I do actually really like that expression. I'm just going to say, and I know I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm really chuffed with that. And I like using yellow as a highlight. I'm not so keen on the fact that these two creatures have the same colors going on, but they are on the 2 sides of the one card, so that's better, so they won't be seen at the same time. And then, of course, at the end, you've got the extra 7 6s and 7s. And that's it. One thing that I'm going to do for my busy boxes is, yeah, have a little bit about myself. Um, do I have a favorite color or color combination when coloring in the creatures? I'm going to skim through them, and I like that one. I like the purple. I'm actually quite chuffed with how this one turned out. At the time, I was, oh, that's a bit too similar to. I mean, in theory, I should go for red, like red, and then a bit of purple and a bit of yellow. It's just enough to give you bits of highlights. I mean, for me, it's more about the textures. I'm more bothered about the textures, and like I do like that one. Yeah, I think I'm going for maybe mainly the reds and the yellows, but again, you want them to be diverse. I think I really appreciate that I've, over the years, gotten a large number of different colors, so I can have different colors that kind of work, and then when they're scanned in, you see this kind of grainy effect, which I'm quite chuffed with. That's all right. I do like the green old. Um, do quite. I do actually quite like this one. How the blue of the eyes. It's like, whoa! It's going like really crazy. This is like just a screwball. What's going on here? Honestly, this one is my favorite in terms of shape. The fact that it's literally falling over itself. I do color combinations. And when I look at all of them, I am going to go for. Oh, I can't select them. Yeah, I think I really like the purples. I mean, red is good, but I do think that within the purple area, you get a lot more variety for art, as much as I feel like people would expect me to say red. I am actually a big fan of the purples. And yeah, pinks with a bit of yellow mixed in. Yeah, that's. But my favorites, actually, if I was to do all of them one way, if I were to do all of them one way, which I didn't, my favorite combination would actually be like all the colors of the rainbow, starting off with greens and blues for the shadows, then purples and reds for the midtones, and then oranges and yellows for the highlights. That's how I would like to paint, if I were to paint like just limited numbers of pieces. But that's it. Yeah. And now I'm going to wrap up, and you've had your opportunity to ask me questions. And if you want to ask me questions, like get them in the next 30 seconds, or if you're watching after the fact, like if I've put this up onto the Kickstarter, then just ask me questions on the Kickstarter update. And thank you for watching. If you've watched this on YouTube, like ask on the YouTube channel, and I try to always reply to everything that I see. But let me ask you something. Question of the day. Question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. So question of the day for me is, do you have a favorite creature? Looking at all of them, I don't know if you can see them so well. Let me make myself smaller. Hopefully that helps. And can I actually... There we go. That's a tiny bit bigger. Do you have a favorite? No, slightly smaller. There we go. Do you have a favorite one of these creatures? And if you do, then which one? My favorite one of these. Yeah. Do you have a favorite? Elaine says, I like the double-headed plant. Ah, that's the one sort of in the middle, just underneath piano person. Yeah. There's only one plant in this version. Also, can I just point out that with this version, I did make all the creatures portrait mode with a game about wee whimsical creatures and try to identify them after some noises, because I was trying to keep it diverse and doing everything in one run. I ended up doing some of them in landscape after a while. So I tried to use that to add diversity. But what I noticed is when people are actually playing, they end up not always rotating them 90 degrees. So then you get some things just underside, which feels a little bit sad, at least to me. And so I thought, yeah, I'm going to put them all portrait mode so that they're all upright. And hopefully they're still diverse, even though I don't have like a snake that goes that way, or like I couldn't have certain creatures, but it meant that I had to work within it, like this little free monkey type things with a giant peacock tail to keep it portrait, or the snake. I've got a couple of snakes, trying to look for one. Oh yeah, with the two birdie things, it had to kind of be climbing up. When they're all together, they almost look like letters of the alphabet, says Elaine. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my question. Thank you for us answering, and over to you. What are you up to? You can share boxing if you want to. What are you up to now? What's you up to later? I am, yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm still bloody struggling. I'm still struggling to focus, struggling to get anything done, struggling to feel rested or energized. I'm going to make sure I do get out today, and that's an important thing. I would like to feel up to going dancing to Ciroc. I've basically already paid for some classes that I need to use before the end of the year, and it would be a shame if I don't use them. I'll see how that pans out. I'll try and do a Kickstarter update. I'll do I will do a Kickstarter update. I'll try to make it good. It might not be very good. It might be just a short, hey, here's my video. Look at my video. This is a game about cute comical creatures. Yeah. I hope you enjoy this game. I hope you enjoy all of them. That might be the entire update. But yeah, I will make an update, and I will make a start on writing the stuff for my next game. And yeah, I might take time to relax and read a bit. I will read this comic, and I won't feel guilty about it. Usagi Ojimbo, looking forward to reading that. So for now, what are you up to? Let me know. If there's anything you want to share while I recap and wrap up before we finish up. So basically, to recap and wrap up, a game about cute comical creatures and trying to identify them after some mixed noises does have cute comical creatures, and you're trying to identify them after someone makes noises. Let me change the view of this, and let me go like this. So I think I was proud of the original one. Sold a whole bunch. Why is this not one doing as well? I think that's a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after some mixed noises. Because it was so cheap, that really helped it do well, because it was the first one and people were more excited by it. And this one, it's something similar. It is like the sequel that's going to be a smaller thing. And yeah, the original, I did have like, hey, you can get the print and play for £1, which was a really bloody good deal. And so yeah, I hope that people do enjoy this. I think that this is better, and I do hope that people, yeah, some people agree. Can't remember that. And cooperative mode, I just need to work out the probabilities to work out whether it's more efficient for people to print out a bunch of numbers, or whether it's more efficient for people to do a bunch of grid references, like which one actually plays better. And I think I would want to actually test them both out, just to see which one people prefer. But yeah, if you want to check me out, I am Stuff by Bez everywhere. Stuffbybez.com/streams will tell you what I'm generally up to. The Protospiel online thing next weekend has been cancelled. So, yeah. Elaine says, I'm sorry you're having a hard time. I hope you get to do things today that bring you some joy. Thank you very much. You know what would bring me some joy? Well, that's the thing. Like, having things be done would bring me some joy. I want to write the title page for my next and my other next game, but the actual writing of it brings me anxiety and concern, and yeah, but yeah, I think I will be like, you know what, I'm going to read a few, maybe another third of this, maybe even the entire thing. It's like, so, so thank you very much for that lovely thing. Yeah. Oh, and it's like the scanning. It's like I'm not sure if it's will be good. Anyway, there's a lot of there's a lot of bloody anxiety wrapped up into everything. But thank you for being here. Thank you everyone, and for checking out the who's been backing me on Kickstarter. I should probably remind you all that if you like the idea of games about stuff, which is very vague, but if you like the idea of that, then let me share screen. Then please check out my Kickstarter where you can get a game about cute comical creatures and trying to identify them after some noises, as well as a game about drawing creatures, complementing the drawings and complementing the complements, which I think is something that will honestly has the potential to bring more joy, not just to yourself, but to those around you, and improve your relationship with others. A game about counting cats, shapes, and colors that keeps getting trickier. This is something that will practice your counting, improve quick thinking, and yeah, whether for adults or children, it's good to do mental exercises sometimes, and also it's fun. Like when you fail to count to 5, it's kind of ridiculously hilarious. Um, a game about quickly matching words to pictures, but never words to words or pictures to pictures. What I'm really proud of here is that it's super intuitive, and people can just jump in and start playing. And of course, the ones that you just saw. I think that they're all somewhat cute and comical, but judge for yourself, as it says there. So lots of love. Thank you, everyone. And the only thing left to say, I guess, is bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song to do. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, and lots of love. And yes, tomorrow and the day after, I'm going to be chatting about the other two games. A game about quickly matching words to pictures, but never words to words or pictures to pictures, and a game about counting shapes and colors that keeps getting trickier. But for now, lots of love and bye bye, bye bye, bye bye. Bye.